Hey everybody, this is Nick Baldwin, and today I'm being joined by Bellator bantamweight Johnny Campbell, who's coming off a big win over Henry Corrales at Bellator 258 last week. Johnny, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How about you, Nick?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for taking the time, and congratulations again on the big win. First of all, how are you feeling physically? And I ask because from watching the fight, it didn't seem like you came out completely unscathed. You took some good shots. It was a back and forth fight. How are you feeling a few days later?
I feel really good. I feel real good. So my legs were the most delicate after the fight from kicking him kicking me. I booted his knee. Maybe like the second kick that I landed was directly on his knee with my foot. So my foot was feeling a little sensitive, but no, I feel good. I got like a little markings on my eye, and I had like some small cuts on the inside of my mouth from him landing some punches. But yeah, I feel really good considering I just fought a 25 fight veteran.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then I guess how are you feeling more from like an emotional standpoint, because this was a big win, it was a big upset. What's sort of going through your mind a few days after that victory?
I feel like I want to get in the cage as soon as possible. That fight was on 30 days notice. I feel like that kind of goes unmentioned throughout the broadcast and things. And, I mean, 30 days notice with this particular scenario, you quarantine for like 5 or 6 days beforehand. I had 3 weeks of real training for Henry Corrales and then came out and I mean, I think I beat the shit out of him, but everybody has their own opinion. So yeah, I just want to get back in that cage and keep doing it. I feel like at 34 years old, 30, nearly 35 fights in, I'm really just figuring this out. People saw like the tip of the iceberg. There was so much work. Obviously, people look and they're like, "Oh, you've lost 13 fights. Who the hell are you?" And I've learned from every one of those fights, and every single one of those fights made me grow and got me to here, which is one of the best fighters on the planet. And it doesn't matter if I've had 13 losses because I'm 1-0 in Bellator, and I'm looking at these bantamweights, and I think I eat up most of them. So I just want to get back in that cage again.
Yeah. A lot of fighters don't seem to really pay attention to the betting odds. They don't really care about that. I don't know where you stand, but were you aware going in, or were you aware afterward how big of an upset on paper this really was?
Yeah, I mean, when I took the fight, I knew for sure I was about to make a bunch of people money because I knew that I'd be a huge underdog. I don't really know much about the numbers. I understand when someone's a underdog and a favorite, but yeah, going in, I was telling clients of mine that I train like, yo, I'm gonna be a massive underdog, and I know that. And Vegas, I mean, they, whatever, whoever they are, whatever they do, they definitely know their shit. But I knew that they were going to overlook me, and I hit too hard. I have too many skills. I'm too experienced, and at 34, I feel like I'm 20. So my body is just healthy and fresh. I knew they were going to say the Corrales would whoop me. So, dude, I'm getting hit up by people all over the place, literally all over the world, especially England. They must gamble a lot there, and they're calling me, their new horse. Like they're always going to be betting on me. People reaching out saying, "Yo, can I buy some merch because I made bank off you and I want to support you and give some back?" I mean, yeah, man, I knew that it would be big, but then it's even bigger than I expected.
Did you have some actual like close friends or personal friends of yours reach out and say, "Hey, I put a bit of money down and it went well"?
Not till after, they probably didn't want to like add pressure to it, but my like a couple of my cousins, couple good friends, yeah, like several people, some dudes who were like into investing and whatnot that just understood like the risk to reward. So you put like 100 down, you could make like 6 times the amount. So yeah, some close friends and family did indeed.
Why do you think you were such a big underdog? Of course, you're going in Bellator debut fighting a name opponent in Henry Corrales, but why do you think Vegas and the odds makers did overlook you as much as they clearly did?
Yeah, I mean, even my coach overlooked me a little bit. He always looks, he likes to underestimate us so that, he gets like a really good idea of how a fight might go. And I mean, he told me several times before this fight how hard it was going to be, how tough he was. He overlooked what I was going to be able to do to him. So I'm not surprised that they did. It's just losing in this game, unfortunately. Like, you're better off beating cans. Like, if I was 8-0 over all cans, I could be awful at fighting and they would say that I was a world killer. And then I'm 20-13. People were just like, no way. There's no way. Just like on the surface, 18-5 versus 20-13. They were like, there's just no way. And that's just not how fighting works, you know? And especially the way that I do it. I'm a true martial artist and I am in this to improve and for the long haul. I'm not necessarily in it just for, this short term excitement or what have you. I'm in it because I want to be the greatest martial artist of all time. And unfortunately, you might have to take some L's to learn those lessons to become the greatest. And there are amazing fighters who are perfect. And Khabib is the man, and he's unbelievable and perfect, but there's something to it about not winning, losing, learning, growing, and overcoming. People love that, and Vegas just needed to learn a fucking lesson.
Yeah. And I think something that people might not realize about you is that you've been in this game for a long time. I mean, you made your pro debut 11 years ago. You've had 35 professional fights, but the one thing missing was that big breakthrough moment on sort of the UFC stage or the Bellator stage. And now you've had that. What does this win over Corrales mean to you, mean for your career?
Every single thing. It means so much because I had opportunities throughout my career that I could have done what I did the other night and just didn't follow through, and it was always on me completely. I just needed to learn so many lessons before I could get here and do this. So just the fact that I overcame so much injuries. I've lost fights because fucking I dislocated my shoulder in the middle of the fight, and then it's like, man, did I lose that because I was not as good as him? Nah, man, I got hurt. Then fucking dude last year punches me just fucking right and hits my ear and busts that thing open, and then they need to stop the fight, and it's like, man, had that fight continued for a round and a half, what would he have looked like? Man, I'd like to know, but I know that it brought me to here. So it's been a long road. And the fact that I can sit in that cage and call out a guy like James Gallagher, or, there's a host of high level bantamweights that I get to now fight in Bellator, I am so blessed and it feels like a miracle.
Yeah. I want to dive a little bit into the actual fight. Up until you dropped him late in the second round and obviously got that rear naked choke and he tapped out. How did you feel about how the fight was playing out up until that point?
I felt fantastic about it. I was feeling a little bit tired at that moment. So, like 30 days notice. And then, I clipped him with one of the first big shots I threw like, spinning back fist off of a head kick, and then like just used the momentum to heave my left hand at him. And I saw his eyes roll back. I saw him get dazed. My coaches were fucking yelling. And I then started head hunting a little bit, which made me a little tired. Had I pieced up his leg a little bit more in the first round instead of head hunting, I don't think I would have been quite as tired, but everything happens for a reason. So yeah, that was the biggest thing. I was like, shit, I'm getting a little bit tired. I'm standing too much in front of him. Where he could beat me was in front of him with his hands, and I knew that. So I tried to make a miss with head movement, but man, he's a skilled motherfucker. So he still landed a little bit on me, but I was feeling very good. I felt like he could not hurt me if he had. I legit stood in front of him at least twice and with my hands completely down and I essentially allowed him to hit me because he had nothing. Part of it was because his leg was chewed up, and part of it was he couldn't read me. He didn't know where my head was going to be, so he couldn't really throw with full commitment. So a lot of those punches that he did land were still they were like punches that he wasn't sure of, so he could only throw them at like 50, maybe 70%. So I knew this man can't hurt me. I'm just going to basically stand here and just try to knock him out. And my arms were feeling a little tired, and that uppercut I threw was like, it was like 60% speed. I was like so tired. My arms were like kind of feeling heavy, and I just ripped that upper, ripped. I just kind of placed it on his chin, and man, it felt so good.
As you're getting tired towards the end of the second round, knowing that, hey, if I don't finish him, there's 5 more minutes after this, and that might be a little tough to get through. Like, are you at all thinking, I better finish this guy right now? Or was it just a matter you landed the right shot and that was that?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, I was just in there kind of fighting moment to moment at that point. So I mean, I was thinking that I was going to finish whether it was then or in the third. If you see really like later in the second, I really start to target that leg, like significantly, where a couple times I ate a punches in order to land the leg kick just to like show him I knew how bad it was hurting him and that I was willing to withstand a shot to just to land that leg kick. Because yeah, he was barely moving at the end of that second round as far as like laterally in and out. He was just standing there, and it's because his leg was jacked. And yeah, I was willing to just continue to hammer it in that third. I would have just come out, hammered that leg, and then at the end of the third started skying head kicks because he would have been so terrified of getting hit in the leg that I would have started landing that head kick. I think that, and I would have been probably successful more on my takedowns in the third. So yeah, I was ready to go for three. I just know that I would have got a little more tired and I would have got a little slower, but I was in it to just keep hammering him until he crumbled, which he did.
I wanted to ask you about the leg kicks actually, because I think that seemed to be one of your better weapons throughout the fight. Was that part of the game plan going in, or was that more of an adjustment you made during the fight?
Yeah, 100%. The real like straight game plan was to stay moving, stay more on the outside, in and out, and poke at him with side kicks, teeps, and like heavy ass leg kicks. He's primarily a boxer. We knew that going in, so he's heavy on his front foot. He also throws a lot of commitment on his punches typically. So on his jab, his overhand, he like leans forward on them, putting all of his weight on that front foot. I knew that thing would be a target. I planned on using some more like John Jones sidekick to the knee, but he was pretty elusive really in there. Like he was moving in and out pretty well, so like gauging that was tough. So I stuck more to the round kick to the leg, but 100% it was game plan to hammer that calf and that thigh, and just take away anything that he had as far as movement and takedown defense. Plus, you hurt the legs, then the power and the punches can't be as powerful because your power really comes from your legs. So by eating that leg up, I knew then his punches would be lessened.
And I know in your post-fight interview, you said you knew Corrales didn't have the ability to hurt you. Why did you think that? Is it just a matter you know how good your chin is? You know that you're able to avoid the biggest shots? Like, why did you think he wasn't able to hurt you at all?
I just feeling his shots. So a couple of reasons. So I mean, I've been hit by guys, and it is like, oh my gosh, that is hard. He did not hit me like that. Now, like, and then on top of that, I could see every single thing that he threw, everything that he threw, I could see. That's why I mean, I made him miss quite a few, and it was because I could see everything. I mean, John McCarthy and the other gent were talking like, oh, he should fake and then head kick, fake and then knee, but he couldn't. I mean, he doesn't often, but he also just couldn't because he was so afraid of getting hit by one of those crazy overhands that he couldn't sit there, plant, and throw a kick or a knee. And then when he faked, I could see everything he was throwing. He felt like he was fighting underwater to me. So, yeah, I knew he couldn't hurt me. I knew I'd see it coming. And then also when he did land, it just felt like he couldn't really commit because he was so hesitant of like, man, where the fuck is this guy's head? He could not find my head very often. And when he did, it just didn't hurt.
And as we said earlier, you were a big underdog in this fight. A lot of people were expecting Henry Corrales just to have a relatively easy fight, if we're being honest, and that wasn't the case. Does the fact that you were such a big underdog make it more satisfying, on top of the fact that, hey, you beat a big name, it was your Bellator debut, it was a finish, but just the fact that everyone thought Corrales was going to win it and you pulled it off, does that make it more satisfying?
Yeah, like yes and no. I'm sure, like a little. It's kind of cool, I guess, but at the same time, due to the fact that everybody thought I was going to get smashed, so many people are like, "Nah, that was a fluke. Nah, that guy sucks. Nah, I would just knee him in the head." Yada yada yada. It's like there's so much of that. So I mean, I will continue to be an underdog most likely. So I got a nice cult following of people who are going to still lay bets on me. But surely, if I fight a guy like Strabanimal, what's his name there? I will be a massive underdog still. So I didn't prove anything yet. So many people are like, "Congrats, you made it," yada yada. I didn't make anything. I didn't do anything really. Not yet. Not yet. Not when I have a belt around my waist. When I have a chain of gyms that across the country. Then I made it. I haven't made anything yet. So I will continue to be an underdog undoubtedly, and I will continue to shock people.
Are people really calling this a fluke? Like, is that something you've seen on Facebook, on social media? Like, you've heard that?
Absolutely, 100%. Tons of comments, tons of comments. I think it's all good. I probably blow up the negatives and focus on the negatives more, just like everybody else. But yeah, lots of people are saying, there were less people saying wow and more people saying, yeah, that's bullshit. Whether it was like Henry cut too much weight or he looks bad at 35 or whatever it was, there was a lot of doubt still. So I dig it. People just need to learn. They think 13 losses means you're a loser forever. It doesn't work like that. Most people operate on that wavelength of like, I lost, I failed, I quit. That's not how I do it, and that's not the way anyone should do it. Everyone should live like they have a million chances because we only live one life, and if you love something and you want to do it, you go do it. And if you fail at it, you keep trying and you keep doing. And I'm here for a reason. And I tell you, if you put me in the cage with James Gallagher, I would pick that dude up and I would throw him out of the cage. He is like a feather and I would destroy him.
I do want to ask you about James Gallagher, but in a little bit. On the note that some people are calling this a fluke and Corrales would beat you in a rematch, would you be willing to rematch Corrales if that's what Bellator wanted, if that's what he wanted?
100%. Yep. Absolutely. I think that would be a great. I think people loved that fight. So many people. John McCarthy was on his podcast the other day saying that he loved everything about it. And, yes, 100% I would. I don't think that it's necessary. I think that Henry probably doesn't want it. I mean, he's active on Instagram, and his Instagram says he's a Bellator featherweight. So I don't know if he already changed it back to featherweight or if he never changed it from featherweight, but I don't think he wants it. I don't think he needs it. When people fight me, oftentimes they don't fight me again. I hit too hard. I'm too hard to read. It's like, yeah, I highly doubt he wants it, but I would absolutely do it again. Yes.
Did you sign a multi-fight deal with Bellator, or was this just a one fight and now you have to re-up?
They slid it in there that I would be contracted for another. As long as I won, I was in for another fight. So as of right now, I'm up for. They have control of my next fight, but I'm hoping that that becomes a multi-fight thing. I'm sure that it will. I think that they understand what they have as far as my skills, my experience, and then my ability to talk. Not a lot of people can talk like I talk. I just understand the game probably better than almost everyone. And you see Patchy Mix in there, and he's like, I think I should fight James Gallagher next, right? I think that he's my opponent. Sign the contract, and it's like, dude, what the fuck, man? Did you not watch any WWF? Like, please, God help me. You need to be a purple cow and no one gets it. So yes, I think that this is going to be a huge, huge thing that Bellator and I do for the next few years. And I intend on being champion. I think that me and Magomedov would be like the miracle of MMA. It would be like 1980s Russia versus United States. And we all know how that story goes. So.
And on the note that you will be competing for Bellator again, where do you think this win puts you in the division? Now, Corrales wasn't ranked because this was his debut in the bantamweight division, but it's a big name. It's obviously a big win. Like, are you thinking you're Like, is title shot in the future, like pretty nearby future? Like, what are you thinking about where you stand right now?
I think that so I'm at 123 right now on the Tapology list, and then Corrales got 129 in internationally. Gallagher's like 106, I think. So I mean, I'm right there. Gallagher's 8-1 in Bellator, 11-1 overall, and he's 106. So I am right up there. He's taking Patchy Mix next, so here's hoping that Patchy has to drop out, and I don't know. You know, that'd be nice. But if he doesn't, if they fight, then I'm looking at somebody like what is it, Perez? I think he beat Blaine Shutt. I think I would fuck that dude up. Sorry, pardon my French. I hope that's okay. And then what is it, Morales? Albert Morales. He just lost to Mix, but I mean, if he lost to Mix, that puts him like right up there. And I think I like him. I think he's a really nice dude, but I would knock his head off of his neck like a T-ball for sure. So, there's a lot of great guys. I mean, Stotts, I mean, he's right there. He just won. He wanted a title shot, and he just is a boring man. He's just boring. He is built like a monster and huge and jacked and explosive, but I think that I think I beat the crap out of him, for the entirety of the fight. And so he's an option too. I will fight anybody, but I want there to be names out there so that this is like, I want to have direction and I want to be in control of my destiny. So any of those gentlemen that I just mentioned, put them in front of me and I will knock them down.
It sounds like you want to fight the whole division.
If that's what it takes. I think that I got a lot to prove still. People look at my record and they say, yep, great job against Corrales, but this and this and this and this. So, yeah, I have the skills. I'm fully confident in what I do. I didn't always fight like I did the other night. I've learned so many lessons, like I've said. So after 13 losses, 21 wins, I will put myself against damn near anybody.
We mentioned earlier that you've been around for a long time. You've had a lot of fights, but you were lacking that sort of UFC or breakthrough sort of level, or UFC or Bellator level breakthrough fight. Now that you've had it, I mean, what is it like to have it this late in your career? Like, does it just prove that this has all been worth it the past 11 years? Does it prove that you're in the right sport, right career? Like, what do you think about that?
Yep, man. It's all the mind. It's all 100% your mental and your mindset. And there's a lot of books that I read, self-help and psychology and things, and law of attraction. And yeah, it's just perfect. Everything happens for you. Jim Carrey quote or what have you. It's it feels like I knew it and I was just so bad at it, or so like I just didn't get it for so long. I focused on the negatives and then negative things came. And now I focus on the positives and positive things are coming. And this is just my mind and the thoughts that I think and the things that I do. And it just took a little longer than some, but that's why I'm doing it, because at the end of the day, at the end of my career, it is going to be a story that people can tell. Never give up, and you will make it.
This is probably a silly question because I know how you're going to answer, but I'll ask it anyways. How confident are you that you can make a serious run and potentially a title run in Bellator at 34 years old, 35 fights into your career? Like, how confident are you that you can make it to the top?
100% confident. I feel like I am the youngest 34 that you can possibly be. I changed my diet about 2 years ago from broccoli and chicken to nearly straight carnivore, beef and eggs. And I look at guys like a Tom Brady and I see people like even, the light heavyweight champ of the UFC right now. I think he's like 39 years old. That it just more gives me fuel because that's what I want. I want my story to be different. I want my story to inspire, and so far it has. And for me to do what I'm doing late in my career, older, to the average MMA fighter, it just is all that much more perfect. And yes, I absolutely feel like I have 20 fights left in my career. No joke. No, four fights a year, I think, for the next 5 years. And then we walk off in the sunset at 39. And Cupcakes MMAs are across the United States, and there's a movie deal. This is real life stuff that I'm seeing in my head that I will 100% bring into this reality.
And the last thing I want to ask you is you just mentioned it. Your nickname is Cupcakes. Everyone can read it right there. Cupcakes Campbell. There has to be a story there. I'm sure you've explained it before, but where does that come from?
It comes from my gym just being different and strange, and like a bunch of freaks, and and I love them so much. So there is a t-shirt company, Johnny Cupcakes, and so it's like kind of in the culture as far as like in the Northeast. It's everywhere, but like it started there, and so it's like something that most people know. And I'm just like a happy dude. A lot of times in the gym, I kind of act like an angry person, but I'm really not. I'm actually happy and I smile a lot. So, so I'm just sparring one day and somebody was like, "Oh, Johnny Cupcakes." And man, people just latched on that thing. I walked out for my first amateur fight and I'm trying to be like, I'm doing my best Chuck Liddell impression. Chuck Liddell walking out like a badass, and they're like, "Johnny Cupcakes Campbell." So man, after that, it was just like, that was what it was. Johnny Cupcakes Johnny, whatever it is, and people love it. That's my name now. That's just what people call me, Cupcakes, whatever it is. No John, no Johnny, no Campbell. It's just typically Cupcakes. And it's kind of become now, though, it's like my like Slim Shady or something. It's like a persona that allows me to be something other than myself a little bit. And if I need an outlet or I need to, express myself during or after a fight, Cupcakes is who I become. That's when I started shouting and stuff after the fight, like Scotty Coke or what up. That was Cupcakes. My teammates were like, "Hey man, we were glad to see that Cupcakes was going to continue to be with us when you won, because it's legit like it's like an alter ego in a way. I don't want people to think I'm like a devil worshiper, but I mean, it's no joke. I'm like multi people in a way, and Cupcakes is like that psycho that everyone has inside them. That person that wants to kill someone who cut you off in traffic, that's Cupcakes. And you have some too, you just probably don't get in touch with as much.
Well, Johnny, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. It's been great to talk to you, and congratulations again on the big win last week.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much. It's been great. I hope we get to do it again soon.